Hey YouTube! My name is Amy and welcome to my craft room. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform where creatives can stand out with their online presence. Welcome. I'm so glad you could join me today. My name is Amy, and if you're new here, I'm a knitter based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and I love to share everything that I'm knitting and working on here in this channel. And today I'm going to give you all a tour of my craft room, go through my yarn stash, and share all of the project plans I have for all of this yarn. And yeah, just show you around my favorite corner of the house. So my husband and I just moved into this house last year. I knew as soon as I saw this room when we looked at the house for sale, it was going to become my future craft room. It's a small little space. I think the final measurements of it are about like 10 by 10 feet. So it seemed like the perfect space for a craft room, place to store hobbies and other auxiliary items. So this half of the room has all of my yarn. You might be familiar with this if you watch my podcast here on the channel. And the other half has a lot of my husband's music gear, and we have some desks for some space to work as well. Now this room definitely needed a bit of a refresh after we bought it. The previous owners had had it for a really long time, and the previous arrangement definitely didn't really suit our style. You could see the walls were this vibrant yellow color. I don't know what was going on with what was on the walls with that mural, and we also ripped up all of the carpet and refinished the hardwood that was sitting underneath. I knew when we repainted this room I wanted something very light and cheerful, but not too bright and in your face, so we ended up settling for a Sherwin-Williams color called Antique White, which is this very, very faint pink color, and I love the vibe that it brings to this room. So behind me is the majority of my craft supplies in these two large IKEA cabinets. I have the IKEA Hauga shelves that are really useful, I find, for storing yarn. They do have the open shelves so you can see everything that you have, but they also do have closed door cabinets at the bottom, which I think is really handy for storing the stuff that maybe isn't so pretty out in an open shelf. I purchased the tall cabinet a few years ago to store my yarn back when we were at our previous apartment. It did survive the move over here, so that is good. And then recently a new addition is the matching shorter IKEA Hauga cabinet. This was a great Facebook Marketplace find, already assembled, lower than the retail price, and I bought it mostly to store a lot of my filming equipment. I have some fiber for spinning, I have some fabric now for sewing, so that I kind of needed just for some extra space. Gave me a lot more surface area to be able to put things on, which for me, surface area is very valuable, like desk space and tabletop space, so I was really happy to add that to the room as well. Behind me, I do have a little corkboard, which I find fun to store some memorabilia from different things that I've been to, like fiber festivals or yarn stores. I also keep some swatches up here as well, kind of as inspiration and motivation to work on my projects. I do tend to rotate out the swatches and kind of keep whatever is currently on my needles on the board right now. So you can see I have a few swatches up here for some projects that I have ongoing, such as my Vivian pullover. I have this swatch here in this Merlot color from Dererum Natura. I also have a fun Sherwin-Williams paint chip color called Knitting Needles that I found when I was looking for paint when we were painting a lot of the house, so I thought that was cute. Some other memorabilia from Flock Fiber Festival. Behind me now is more IKEA. I'm a big fan of IKEA, if you can't tell. This is the Scottish pegboard, which I found was the perfect thing to store some unique hand-dyed yarn or yarn skeins that I wanted to display. So the Scottish pegboard has these little pegs that you can also buy separately. So here are the pegs, they snap right in and they hold skeins of yarn quite well. Similarly to the yarn shelf, I try to keep the pegboard organized in color order. I just find it's the most aesthetically pleasing to me and easy to find a yarn. If I'm thinking of it in my mind, I know exactly where to find it based off of its color. Another fun feature of my newer IKEA cabinet is I was able to mount my Yarn Swift and yarn ball winder on it, which I've never been able to have my Yarn Swift and winder like out in a permanent spot before. So this is really convenient as someone who is constantly knitting and constantly trying new yarns. I use this like on a weekly basis, so it's nice to not be able to need to drag this out of storage and then clamp it onto a table and then put it away when I'm all done. My Yarn Swift is from Knit Picks. I'm a big fan of the Birch Swift. It's a pretty good value for what it is. I don't have any issues with it. It gets the job done, and it kind of just barely fits with the pegboard behind it. Sometimes, depending on how large the skein I'm winding is, I'll have to remove some of these like skeins back here so they don't get hit by the Swift, but it pretty much is a perfect fit. My biggest role models, Bob Ross and Ron Swanson. And my yarn ball winder over here is a Royal yarn ball winder. I bought it ages ago, like when I was in middle school from Joann. I don't even know if Royal still exists or if they still make yarn ball winders. It's kind of like the basic plastic kind that you see from a lot of other vendors. It's a little bit broken, but I'm trying to hang on to it before I replace it. Behind me, I do have a floating bookshelf where I keep a lot of my knitting books. I am a big fan of pattern books. I think they're really fun to collect and look at. I also do some book reviews here on YouTube as well. And also up here, I have this rotating stitch marker display that I bought from like Walmart. I don't really love it. I might get rid of it. I think it's bigger than I anticipated it being. It's kind of bulky. I intended it to sit on my desk, but it takes up too much space on my desk. So for now, it's up there on the shelf out of the way. And I recently got into sewing. So I have a sewing machine out to motivate me to try some new projects, although I sewed one time a month ago and have not touched my sewing machine since, but it kind of lives on my desk for now. Here at my desk, you'll find me editing videos on my MacBook Pro. I edit all of my videos with Final Cut Pro. I'm a big fan of editing videos. It is definitely one of my other passions, a totally different creative outlet than fiber arts that I have really grown to love over the past few years. In addition to editing videos at my desk, you might also find me editing my website, any-knits.com, which I build with Squarespace, who is the sponsor of today's video. Squarespace is a platform where creatives can stand out with their online presence. Whether you're trying to grow your business or start an online shop, Squarespace definitely has everything you need to build a stunning website in just a few clicks. They have a lot of beautifully designed templates that you can customize with your own brand, logo colors, fonts, and so much more. Squarespace websites have a whole bunch of different features, including a blog function, a shop function where you can sell things like digital items like knitting patterns, or physical items like finished projects. If you're interested in building your own Squarespace site, head to squarespace.com to start a free trial today. Once you're ready to launch your site, head to squarespace.com/neknits to get a 10% off discount your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring today's video. Also down here in my little yarn shelf, I just wanted to share some of my notions and where I store some of my other things. I do keep some projects kind of like stashed here on the shelf for easy access. I always have a ruler because I'm using this constantly to measure like gauges or like how long I've knit something. So this is just sitting out because I use it so much. Also down here, I have some books that I am actively using for patterns. So I just have them out here for easy access, including Nordic Knits by Lina Publishing as I'm knitting the Tuku Warmer Slipover. I keep wanting to say Tuku Wool, but it's Tuku Warmer Slipover. That pattern is here in the book, so I just have the book ready to go so I can look up the pattern. Some summer crochet. I have a few patterns queued up here, so keep an eye out as I'll be posting my spring and summer knitting and crochet plans on the channel, which includes some patterns from this book for the beach. I also picked up this really cute art print, which I'm hoping to put up on the wall soon. This is a Boston kind of color card, which is really cool. The artist is Lunch City Studio. They are based out of Somerville. Really cute. Also under here in the cabinets, I store most of my tools and notions. I do have my blocking boards in here. These are the premium blocking mats from Knit Picks. I love them, use them almost weekly. And I also have most of my needles stored in this thread and maple needle binder. This was gifted to me and I use it to store my Knitter's Pride interchangeable set. And I also keep most of my fixed circulars in here as well in these cute little labeled envelopes for quickly finding exactly what size I need. In this little organizer, I have most of my quick access to notions, including some barber cords, all of my stitch markers. I have several different retracting tape measures, also a staple for knitting projects. I have my Shorty circular needle set from Knitter's Pride. This is the Nova Platina set. And moving over here, can you tell I'm on my knees? But here we are. Just another surface I keep mostly empty just in case I have something that needs to be put down for a period of time. I do have my scale here, which is pretty crucial to measuring how much yarn I have left or how much yarn I used in a project. I do leave my Chow set out here for quick and easy access. I keep my crochet hooks in this little cup and I use the Clover Amour crochet hooks. They are my favorite. I have one Tunisian crochet hook from when I tried to Tunisian crochet. I liked it, it didn't stick. Also in here, you'll just see some other collectibles. I have a Squishmallow, I have a Disney castle that I just finished building out of Legos. All right, let's get to the good stuff, the yarn. Funny enough, I do have knitting plans for most of it. I'm trying to think of what I should start with. You guys probably want to see the fun skeins first, right? Yeah, let's start over here. So starting off with sock yarns, I feel like maybe sock yarns are the one category of yarns where I don't really have exact project plans for them. I just know it's going to be socks of some sort. I have 2 skeins of Rambler from the Woolly Thistle. I am an affiliate with Woolly Thistle, so these were gifted to me. And Rambler is their in-house yarn that they source out of New York wool. So this is a blend of Dorset, Corriedale, and Grey Romney. I have the color Lake here, and I also have the color Natural. Now these are 100% wool, non-superwash fingering weight yarns, but they are intended for socks. So I'm really curious to try them because, not that I've been skeptical, but I have heard that socks that don't have nylon in them tend to wear down a lot quicker than socks with nylon. I mean, the science makes sense, but that doesn't mean that this is any inferior. You just have to be ready to mend at a moment's notice. So I'm kind of curious to try these in socks, see how they wear, and if I don't like the maintenance or if I think it's okay, I will let you know, but haven't cast these on yet. I think it would be fun to use them together in some form of colorwork pattern. This is a self-striping sock yarn from Geektastic Fibers that I picked up at Flock Fiber Festival. This one I know will be really fun to cast on. You can see all these moody colors of blue and teal and red. I think this will be a really fun pair of stockinette socks. 2 unrelated but very variegated sock yarns that will be perfect for vanilla socks. The first is from Ruby and Roses, Taylor Swift collection. This is called Enchanted, and this is from Honey and Quill, who is a Boston-based dyer, and this is in the color Witch's Brew, which is just the perfect autumnal color. I think I'm going to hold off on casting this on until the fall because I just know as soon as that apple crisp scent hits the air in September, this will be really fun to knit with. Next up, I do have a single skein left of cashmere sock from Sorella. This is actually left over from my Carl Johan sweater in the color Evie. This is a blend of 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere for that luxury, and 10% nylon. So I kind of want to knit this into a pair of socks because of that cashmere content. Never knit cashmere content socks before, so it could be fun. Red Stag Fiber is a hand dyer based out of Texas, and they sent me this yarn. This is their Dashes sock, which is actually a blend that contains 10% nylon and 20% yak. So also kind of a luxurious blend, as yak is one of those kind of luxury soft fibers. This is in the color Farage, which is this really beautiful slate gray. Beautiful 4-ply sock yarn, would look really nice in a textured pattern. I've got 4 different tonals from Sorella yarn. I am an affiliate with Sorella, so I do have a lot of their yarn, but I think all of these I actually bought myself. The first one is Tomorrowland from the Disneyland collection. This is the color PSL from their Autumn Tonals collection. Velvet, also from Autumn Tonals, love that blue. And this is Odette, which is just a really nice white color from the Ballet collection. I feel like I never knit with white, but every time I see a white knit, whether it be a sweater or a sock or just anything, I'm like, wow, that looks so good. And I've been holding on to this skein, but this looks so good in just a really beautiful lacy sock. This is a sweet little yarn skein that was gifted to me by a viewer, which is so kind. This is from Riverside Studio, made in Canada. This beautiful hand-dyed yarn, lots of blues and kind of like a light lilac purple and speckles. Really pretty. This is the Super Sock base. It's an 8-ply sock yarn that is a blend of superwash merino and nylon, and this is in the color Tanzanite. And I have this merino Super Sock yarn by La Biena May. This is this beautiful beige base with these really bright neon speckles. I think this will be really cute and just a subtly textured sock that, you know, it's gonna mostly be this beige color, but I think the speckle pops will be really pretty. This is the color Ostara. There are some yarns on the pegboard that are not sock yarns, and I have them earmarked for different hats. This first set is this gorgeous pair of yarns from Ocean Fibers. I got this down at Flock last year. These are in the color Mermazing. There's a mohair and a sock yarn. I think together these will make the most stunning beanie. Like, just, it's so pretty. I feel like it's too pretty, so I haven't cast on with it yet, but I know it's going to be such a fun project. And then kind of like a similar project plan, definitely some sort of beanie. I have this matching Surrey alpaca with this sock yarn from Birch and Lily. These are both in the color Lavender Honey, which is this kind of gray base that has these beautiful speckles of blue and mustard and brown. And the last yarns on the pegboard are single skeins that, again, not really for socks. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with them yet. that I think I bought them for beanies, but these two are from Explorer Knits and Fibers, Rocky's DK base, which is a 100% superwash merino yarn. And this first one is called Rensafiara Beach from the Iceland collection. And then this other one is called Lavandula. And I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I honestly might destash them. I feel like I bought them. I mean, they're stunning colors, but it was just an awkward quantity of one skein of DK per. I could do like a single folded beanie with each of them, but I just have, you know, you can see I have a lot of yarn. So sometimes I have to be kind of critical and think, am I really going to knit with this? So not sure if these will end up being knit by me, but we'll see. And I have this stunning bright green yarn from the Lamb and Kid. This was gifted to me and it's a trio DK yarn. So it's a blend of merino, cashmere, and nylon. I did knit a beanie out of this and have the other skein maybe for another beanie or a neck scarf. And I also have some Knit Picks High Desert Worsted in this beautiful tweed color. Also, I think would make a beautiful beanie. This was also gifted to me. All right, moving on to the big guns, the yarn shelf, the sweater quantities. Let's start with this woodland tweed from Knit Picks. This I bought for a sweater for my husband Nick, which I said I would knit last winter, didn't knit it. Maybe I'll cast it on this summer. And this is a bulky weight yarn that is a blend of merino and alpaca and viscose. This is the color Bunchberry Heather, which is this green with all these tweedy flecks. Now this yarn I find to be very soft because of that baby alpaca content, and he does too, which is why I picked it out for him. He's a little bit sensitive to wool, so I wanted to be sure to pick out a yarn that would be next to skin soft for him to wear. So hopefully this will do the trick. I have been eyeing the Lyon sweater pattern just for the shaping. I know that's a striped sweater, but in terms of the shoulder shaping with that set-in sleeve style by Petite Knit, I think that'll be a really good fit for him. I would just have to fudge the gauge and the sizing to make sure that it fits him well. We're in the green shelf, so everything is going to be green for the next few rounds. This is Tuku wool fingering that I got at the Woolly Thistle, and Tuku wool fingering is a 100% finish wool. I had originally bought this with the intention to do some color work with this black color also in Tuku wool fingering, and I swatched it, didn't really love it, and I think I'm gonna save this for another sweater. I think if I add some matching mohair, this will be the most stunning clover green sweater. I'm thinking something just basic stockinette, maybe a raglan, you know, really let the color do most of the talking rather than the stitch pattern. Feels really nice for kind of like a rustic yarn, and I've heard great things about Tuku wool, so excited to try it. I have a random assortment of Wool of the Andes from Knit Picks because I tried to do like a color work Christmas gift of like a plaid trapper hat, but it didn't really work out, and I ended up just knitting the trapper hat out of one solid green color for my sister. It was a pattern by Joan Ho, the Amelia hat. It was a really quick Christmas gift knit, so it didn't make it onto like the Knee Knits podcast. I ended up pairing the Wool of the Andes worsted held double with Lion Brand Gopher Faux in this cream color. This was just such like a fun, satisfying project. It honestly made a really warm hat. So if you're looking for kind of like a unique knit, I think that's a really fun project to make. Also in the shelf, I have two mini skein packs from Sorella, one of which was the Ballet Collection mini skein set. This was gifted to me for promotion, and it's a really stunning fade. I feel like it's too pretty to knit with, kind of a similar situation where I don't really want to use it because I feel like I can't find the perfect pattern to do it justice. But if you have any ideas for a pattern for this, let me know. It's 10 mini skeins that are 20 grams each, fingering weight yarn. And I also have a petite palette that I built at Flock Fiber Festival with Sorella. This I really want to use for an Astrid pillow, which is a crochet pattern. I had crocheted one last year out of Sorella's Spring Tonals and ended up gifting it to one of my friends for their bridal shower. And I really wanted to make one for myself, and I made this petite palette to kind of match our living room decor. So our living room features kind of like this sage green color. Our rug has kind of this orange terracotta color, and I think that the palette that they put together really brought together all of those colors. So this is just project in waiting. I just haven't found time to start that, but really excited for when I do. This purple, so pretty. This is from Little Fiber Co., and this is a 100% merino non-superwash yarn. It's a fingering weight, and I got this to make the Market Henley by Claire Jackson, which is a waffle stitch Henley pattern. Looks super cozy. It seems like a really fun knit with all of that texture. This purple color color I think is going to look stunning. This yarn is really soft and smooth. Summit by Junction Fiber Mill. This was their limited edition Corriedale confetti yarn, which is in the color gray. And it's a Corriedale that has this blend of sari silk in this rainbow of colors. I was able to pick this up in person at one of Junction Fiber Mill's open houses last month, and I love it. I mean, this is so gorgeous. So I started casting on the Tuku wool slipover, or Tuku warmer slipover, and just look at how this yarn is knitting up. It's gorgeous. The confetti of color really shines. I have a sweater quantity of this really fun bubblegum pink combo. The pink wool yarn is from Sorella, fingering weight. This is in the color Echinacea from their garden collection. Then I got this matching suri from the Lamb and Kid. This is their Diamond Lane brand. This is their Birdie base, which is 74% alpaca, 26% silk, and it's a light fingering suri that will go perfectly with this. Some more Wool of the Andes worsted that I tried using for some Christmas gifts. This is My Time Merino by Gabo Wool. This is a Polish yarn brand that I bought while I was in Poland for a trip, and it's a 100% merino fingering weight yarn. This is the color 938. It's just this really clear navy color. And for this yarn, I was really eyeing the Tulipin cardigan by Fable Knitwear. It's this really kind of romantic, lightweight cropped cardigan that features a bow tie in the front, and it has some lace details and a really pretty scalloped kind of tulip edge that I think would look really stunning in this navy color. I also have some Silk DK from Sorella yarn. This is in the color lavender, also from the Garden collection. This is a 50% blend of silk and 50% superwash merino. DK weight, I am planning on making the Pillars of Simplicity by Claire Jackson. It's this really cute high ribbing kind of v-neck t-shirt that's a little bit cropped. I think it'll be really fun in this shiny purple color. And with the 50% silk blend, it should be pretty wearable into the summer. This is Ruby and Rose's Rustic Rose base, which is a 100% non-superwash merino wool. This is in the color Kana, which is this bright red that I think would be so fun for some colorwork mittens. I have the same yarn in an ivory kind of white color from Ruby and Rose's as well that I was planning on holding together for colorwork mittens. For mitten patterns, I was really eyeing this past winter patterns by Camilla Grady, also known as Knitlit on Instagram. And I have the Nora mittens pattern as well as the Katrin mittens that I think would look stunning with the red and the white yarn. This is a combo of Gepard Wild and Soft, which is a blend of merino and tussa silk fingering weight yarn, as well as Drops Kid Silk, which is a blend of mohair and silk. These are both gifted to me by Unit Toronto as part of their Memory Lane promotion. I was specifically eyeing the Narciso cardigan pattern from that book. Really lovely. I think I'm also kind of influenced by the light blue color that it is in the sample piece to match this yarn. But I did originally get this as part of a kit for the Tekla pattern in that book, which is also a really pretty kind of basic stockinette pattern that has lace going down the sleeves and just the mohair. Probably the latest addition to my stash, as these just came in the mail yesterday. These are from Sorella's Oz collection. You can see they're really fun labels specifically for the yarn collection. This is the color Fiero in the classic sport base. I was gifted 2 skeins and then I bought 2 additional skeins to get up to a sweater quantity for myself. I've been eyeing Sari Nordland's Calliope pattern from the Softly book. I think that would look stunning in this blue. In fact, I might cast it on really soon. I've kind of been itching for that potato chippy pattern, and things with lace charts I've always loved, and the circular yoke construction is always really simple to get started right away. The blue shelf is very dense. I love blue. The last blue yarn I have to share, also from Sorella. This is their classic sock base in the color Forget Me Not from the Garden collection. I bought a lot of yarn from the Garden collection. This is a really pretty light blue, and I'd love to make a tank top out of this. I've been eyeing Florence Miller's mixed rib cami pattern. I think that would look stunning in this kind of cornflower blue. I love the high boat neck, the pattern with the ribbing. It just looks very streamlined, and the waist shaping. It's gonna be a perfect summer knit. All right, top shelf, last shelf. This is Cashmere Lusso by... who's this by? Fibra Natura. I got this on sale at one of my local yarn stores. This is a 50% virgin cashmere and 50% recycled cashmere yarn. It's a sport weight. I have 2 balls. These are each 50-gram balls, so I have 100 grams total. Not really sure what to do with them yet. I'm definitely thinking some sort of neck accessory for the winter. I have yet to knit with 100% cashmere, so when I saw this on sale, I was like, ooh, here's my opportunity. So I snagged 2 balls, and I think a black neck scarf can't really go wrong. There was a brioche scarf pattern that I was eyeing that was knit more at like an Aran weight gauge, but I think I could kind of figure out how to make it work for sport weight and get the same stitch pattern. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll put it up here on the screen. So this is a really fun yarn combo that I have a very specific project in mind for. So I'll start with the merino singles here. This is by Sislerigit that I was able to get from one of my friends when Sislerigit was at the Boston Fiber Festival last fall. I wasn't able to attend, and I was so glad that she could grab this for me. And this is a 100% merino yarn, and the color is called Coal. It is a single ply. So I think this will look great for a shawl, as single ply has that beautiful drape and softness. And I was eyeing the Birds of a Feather shawl pattern by Andrea Mowry that features merino singles as well as a matching mohair. So I found this mohair when I was at Webb's a few months ago. This is from Hedgehog Fibers in the color Orca. It's a lace weight silk mohair, kid mohair, 70%, 30% silk. I think that'll be so fun together in the Birds of a Feather shawl. We got mostly black, the touches of white here and there, and I know the Birds of a Feather shawl construction is really interesting, so I think that'll be a really fun one to cast on. I have a sweater quantity of this Filcolana Pernilla, which I had originally bought for the Hazel sweater by Petite Knit. This Pernilla is a sport weight 100% Peruvian Highland wool in this gray kind of melange color, and then I did buy a matching mohair from Filcolana. This is Tilia in the color Silver. And I haven't knit this yet because I don't look good in gray, and I don't really want to knit myself any more gray sweaters. I might knit this for my sister because she looks really good in gray. We'll have to confirm if she likes the Hazel sweater pattern. If not, I'm sure I could find something else that works for this yarn combo. I did buy this in Germany. Filcolana is really hard to find in the US, so I kind of have this as like a treasure in my stash that I definitely don't want to get rid of, but I don't really want to knit it for myself either, so gotta figure out what to do with it. More leftovers. I have some Originally Lovely fluff in the color Snow from my Berlin scarf, and I have a lot of undyed Surrey lace from Birch and Lily that I'm hoping to use for some project at some point. I have like 1 or 2 skeins of it left, so it would be good as a second strand for maybe a neck scarf. I don't know. I feel like everything I'm pulling out, I'm like, oh, I'll make a neck scarf out of it. This is DK weight sock yarn from Dirty Water Dye Works, a local Boston dyer. This is a blend that contains nylon, even though it is DK, so I don't remember the exact percentage, and I don't remember the color because I don't have the label anymore. There is a pattern in Sari Nordland's book that I've been eyeing for these socks. Features really beautiful cables and would make really cozy, thick socks. This is that other Ruby and Roses yarn I was talking about earlier for the mittens. And I have some leftover knitting for Olive Merino and knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair, both in the color Putty. I used these to knit my Kutar wrap by Sari Nordland, and it was a really large gauge, like 5.5mm needles for these 2 yarns held together, so I had like a full sweater quantity at first in stash, but only used like 75% of it, so I have like 2 to 3 balls left of each of these. Don't have an exact project plan for it. Really enjoyed the combo. You can't really go wrong with these 2 yarns held together. Maybe another neck scarf. This is another treasure in my yarn stash. If you've been with me for a few years, you know I have this yarn, and you might know that I have not used it yet despite owning it since 2022, which for me, that's kind of like a long time to be sitting on yarn. This is Jeholts Udspinderi from Denmark. This is their Håndverksgarn, which is a worsted weight 100% Danish wool. This is in the color Sand, which is mostly kind of like a white color with a little bit of black mixed in, and I would love to make a weekend slip over v-neck out of this from Petite Knit's pattern library. I need like a white mohair to hold with it. This was one of the suggested yarns. I bought this in Copenhagen, which was one of my dream trips. Would love to go back. And rounding out the yarn for today, this is some Sorella Yarns Classic DK. This is, I think, one of the first Sorella yarns that I purchased, also maybe like 3 years ago, so this has kind of been kicking around my stash for a while, but I do want to knit a traveler cowl out of this. I have 2 skeins of the DK weight yarn, so that should be the good quantity. This is in the color Nolita from the Autumn in New York collection. It's this beautiful kind of blushy pink and ivory mixed together. So that was all the yarns yarn that I wanted to share. I definitely have like a lot of odds and ends. I have this whole basket here of sock yarn and mostly kind of like leftover either semi skeins of fingering weight yarn or mini skeins that I really need to use in like a scrappy scrap busting project. I think I might cast on the excavation blanket soon, just because I think I would probably have the most motivation to finish it and actually use up my yarn scraps. I have started at least 2 different crochet granny square blankets that I am nowhere near finishing, and at this point I think it's time to move on from them. So I'm just looking for a project that I would feel motivated to finish, and I think I've heard enough really good things about the excavation blanket that it seems like a good use for a lot of leftover sock yarns or just like partial skeins that I have but don't really want to get rid of either. Like this whole basket here, would love to turn this into a big blanket and then call this empty. Like it goes really deep. You can see this is full, this is overflowing. So that brings us to the end of the craft room tour and yarn stash tour. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun seeing my space and learning what I have in my stash and what project plans I have coming up. Feel free to subscribe if you like what you saw and want to keep up with all of my knitting content. You can also follow me on Instagram where I'm NE_knits. It was so fun hanging out with you all today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.